If you are experiencing foundation issues, get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
We started in August with Coach Jonathan Beverly, the head football coach and athletic director at Childersburg High School, and here we are, first full week in November, and this is our final show. And Coach, the latter part of the season especially didn't go as planned.
No, it didn't go as planned, and I think looking back at it, there's some things as the season went on, we kind of wore down week by week. The injury bug started to catch up with us. Just attrition started to catch up with us, being shorthanded in some spots. But extremely proud of how our kids kept fighting week by week, going up against obstacles, going up against things that, weren't going in their favor, but they didn't give up. They continued to fight. And so proud of the effort for sure.
And one of the more difficult regions that you're working in too.
Right, yeah, not an easy schedule by any means, and it's just, that's not to make any excuses. We plan on, bouncing back, same schedule, same region next year, and so we plan on bouncing back and finding our way into that top four. But, there's, our region is not very forgiving. Our schedule is not very forgiving. So, when you're going through some battles and issues, and then on top of that, you're not going to get a week off the next week. Yeah. So, there wasn't any, cupcakes or anything like that, in the midst of it where you could kind of regain yourself. But, lessons learned, and we're going to move forward and find a way to bounce back.
Talk a little bit about last week's game.
Last week, playing an extremely athletic Anniston team, probably one of the faster teams that we had seen all year, even, with our tough schedule, with our region schedule, extremely athletic. And honestly, when you're playing a team like that has athletes all over the field, the kind of mistakes that we made at certain times in the game, they made us pay for it. And again, we played hard, played extremely hard, but just made too many mistakes to beat a team that's as athletic as Anniston.
With Anniston and the history they've had, they were down a few years, but boy, they've had some real rich history at Anniston with the Bulldogs. Talk about some of those turning point moments of last week's loss.
Last week's game, I thought defensively we played extremely well. Never really could get any momentum going offensively. Missed on some big opportunities to swing momentum our way. Got into the red zone a couple of times and couldn't finish. And that's been, kind of a story of our season. Couldn't gain a lot of momentum offensively. Couldn't take advantage of red zone opportunities. Had 3 red zone opportunities. If we just connect on 2 of those late in the game, we find a way to probably tie it up or possibly take the lead, if we convert on conversion. So, again, that's something that we're going to have to focus on in the next year to get better and get ready. The good news is, for us offensively, 9 out of 11 starters back. That's going to go a long way to help. The entire offensive line is back. That's going to go a long way to help. So, we're definitely excited about what's ahead.
No doubt about it. Disappointing season in for the Childersburg Tigers. You started off the season on fire.
We did. I think we started out with a lot of momentum. And I think, a part of that, was the fact that, we started out 100% healthy. We were fresh, coming off a great summer of work and conditioning. And I think just, where we were, we lost 22 seniors. We lost about 80% of offensive production. And we were kind of able to overcome those things early. But as the season went on, attrition and everything else kind of took its toll. And when you're playing, the October football, it's going to show. The attrition, the lack of depth, it's going to show in late October. And it did.
When you talk about some of the region opponents, you look at Hanley, for instance. I mean, you've beaten Hanley 2 years in a row. Hanley in the playoffs,
right?
And so it shows the capabilities that your team had and has this season.
Absolutely, we've beaten Hanley 2 years in a row. Hanley, obviously, a state power, a state tradition. They've won state championships, 2 in the last decade, 1 just 2 years ago. And honestly, I would not be surprised if Hanley were to find its way to the quarterfinals, the semifinals. Assuming they get out of the first round, they've got to match up with UMS Wright. But honestly, the way I think that 4A bracket matches up, I think if any team's got a shot to knock off UMS Wright, it's probably Hanley because of the way they play defense and the way they do things. So, I think us beating Hanley this year and playing some other teams close shows what we're capable of. We've just got to find a way to get over the hump this offseason.
All right, we'll be back with Coach Jonathan Beverly, and we'll kind of capsule more of the season, look ahead to 2019 right after this.
Hot under the collar because your basement is full of water? Call a local company you can trust. Ox Foundation Solutions. We use the most advanced water management system to stop water from invading your basement for good. Things feeling a little uneven at home? Ox Foundation Solutions will fix your uneven concrete sidewalk, driveway, or basement in no time. Ox Foundation Solutions has the best plan to keep your home safe. If you are experiencing any issues with your sidewalks, basement, crawl space, or foundation, get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
We believe everybody should have a great night's sleep. That's why you have to check out our Scott Living mattress collection today. Quality, comfort, and a lot of Z's. Dream big.
Introducing Scott Living Mattresses. For a limited time, save up to $1,000 on any Scott Living mattress set, plus 24 months special financing when you buy a Scott Living mattress set. Now is the best time to save up to $1,000 on a Scott Living mattress set.
Come in today to check out these and many more great deals. King's Mattress Outlet, Sylacauga.
Coach Jonathan Beverly, the head football coach and athletic director at Childersburg High School, our guest this morning on the Coach's Corner. And I remember late in the season, you played Lincoln. Lincoln hosting first round playoff, and you know those are the kind of teams that were on your schedule last year, that are on your schedule again next year. You live and learn, but this is such a competitive region that the team's got to get better. 9 out of 11 offensive starters back next year. That bodes great things for you.
It does. We're really excited about that. Obviously, offensively, we feel like we'll be better next year. With all of those starters returning. We got 8 out of 11 back defensively. And, honestly, as we were able to step back the last few weeks and see the big picture and get an idea of, who all's coming back, we had so many young guys in key spots. And honestly, even though the win-loss column didn't go the way we wanted, we know that we're going to get better just by the fact that those guys are going to be experienced now. And so, going into the offseason, going into next summer, we can look at it and say, hey, you guys have, you've got 10 games under your belt now. You've had an opportunity to start on Friday nights. You've had an opportunity to do some things on Friday nights that really practice and summer workouts can't replicate. And so now they've got a year's worth of game experience that should go a long way in helping us make a difference next fall.
Well, with all those starters coming back on both sides of the ball, the pressure will be on because you're expected to do well. You'll be one of the favorites coming into next fall. So how do you get to next fall? What happens next with this group that is coming back and these underclassmen that'll be back?
Well, the first thing we've got to do is get bigger and faster and stronger. And so what we do this offseason in the weight room, what we do in our offseason conditioning program is going to go a long way to get us physically prepared. The next thing we've got to do is find a way to get mentally prepared for the long road ahead, because honestly, what makes a difference in late October and hopefully early November next year is going to be teams that are mentally tough, mentally strong. And so if you're mentally tough, you've got an opportunity to win those close ball games, because regardless of how many guys we've got coming back, we're going to have to find a way to win close ball games next year. We're because of our schedule, we're not going to roll in and beat people by 3 or 4 or 5 touchdowns week in and week out. There's going to be close, tight ball games. So not only do we have to get better physically, we've got to get better mentally and find ways to get over the hump mentally as well.
Everybody loves a spotlight of Friday night, but this December, January, February, March, April, and May are those grind months where you're in the weight room, you're trying to get stronger and get better, and a lot of days it's not fun doing that.
No, it's not fun a lot of days. There's going to be a lot of days where, especially in the winter months where it's cold, the last thing you want to do is get to that weight room early. But those are the days that you win championships. Those are the days that you when you look back at it, if you find yourself in the playoffs, those are the days that got you there. It's not necessarily the days in August or September. It's the days that you did what your opponent didn't want to do, or you did it better than your opponent did it. And so we stress that. We tell our kids that week in and week out, day in and day out. And to our kids' credit, especially our younger group, they get it and they embrace it. And so we look forward to a great off season.
Who's a couple of kids that you say, wow, that are seniors, you say, wow, I wish I had him another year or two?
The first that comes to mind is Christian Guerrero. I wish I had him for another year, and I wish I had 10 more like him for another year. He's just I've said it before, but he's the kind of kid that if you said, "Hey, pick an ambassador for your program, pick an ambassador for your school," he would be it. And so I can't speak his praises highly enough. One that probably didn't get a lot of credit or spotlight this year, a kid like Isaiah Stamps, a lineman who's been a 3-year starter for us, both offensive line and defensive line. Played mostly defensive line this year as we worked some younger offensive line guys, but he's another one that has worked and worked and worked, never took a day off in the weight room, never, missed any games for injuries or anything like that, even though there were times where he could have said, "Coach, I can't go." He always said, "Coach, I can go. I want to play. I want to go." And, he's been a great example for some of our younger kids. And so, and I could name a few more, but those are the two that come to mind that say, "Hey, I'm really going to miss those guys."
Was there a game somewhere along the season that it slipped away and you said, "Dang, we should have had that game," and it may have gone on to have affected your season overall?
The first one that comes to mind, I think, would be Elmore County. And even a couple weeks before that, the Sylacauga game. Having not beaten a rival in such a long time, and then you've got an opportunity late in the game, inside the 10-yard line, 1st and goal, and then it slips away. And then I think a couple weeks later, the same situation at Elmore County. You've got an opportunity to get over the hump, to put yourself into true playoff contention with a win, and just the second half, it slips away. And, those were two really close ball games that, I hate to use the term, break your back, but, as the season was going on, those are two games that if they go the other way, gives you a lot of, positive momentum going into the end of the year. And we just, that I think that goes back to the mental preparation. How do you find a way now to win those close games? Two extremely close games, 1-possession games the whole way. How do you find a way to get over that hump mentally? And, that's going to be our challenge over the next few months.
Completing your 3rd year as head football coach and athletic director at Childersburg High School, where is this Childersburg program, Coach? Really
close to taking a step to the next level. We've gotten ourselves to a point now to where we expect to be successful. So how do we find a way to take that next step? Last year, I think, we pushed ourselves to the brink of really getting there, but then all of a sudden you lose 22 seniors, and how do you find a way? And that not only do you lose 22 seniors, but you've got an abnormally small senior class this year. And really, with the exception of, a Guerrero or Isaiah Stamps, none of those guys were really in a position to where they had ever really been relied upon on the field. And to their credit, they answered the call. But again, you can't, there's no substitution for experience. And so, had a lot of inexperience this year, but we don't have that excuse next year. Next year, we return a lot of experience. And so I think we're poised to take that next step next year.
Well, not only the head football coach, but athletic director, you got a lot of winter sports coming up too.
Absolutely. Really excited about our boys and girls basketball programs and what they're going to bring to the table. Coach Johnson and Coach King do a great job with those programs, and we're hoping to make a push and make a run, not only for area championships, but hopefully a region championship, and always looking for the best out of those programs. And really wouldn't be shocked if they're going to hate me for saying this, but really wouldn't be shocked if both of those teams find a way to Birmingham.
All right. Coach Jonathan Beverly, the head football coach and athletic director at Childersburg High School, our guest this morning, our final show of the season. Coach, it's been a pleasure, and look forward to 2019.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys for having us. Thank you for your coverage.
All right, man. More Daybreak in a minute.